Hi, I'm Ray, and this is a blacksmithing YouTube video.
So how long have you been blacksmithing?
I started playing at it in my parents' backyard in the early 1970s. It probably started when I was in high school. I was in an archaeology class and was trying to reproduce. That's when I built my first forge in the backyard, and I'm trying to reproduce early American hardware. And also, that was the early 70s, and people were wanting to do things themselves by hand. And I had a piece of cedar wood log that I'd found in the woods. So I got a friend and we set up a saw and we hand sawed boards out of this piece of red cedar. And I thought, well, now I got to make the hinges. I got to make the nails, do it all. The satisfaction I got from doing that by hand probably was what started it. And when I graduated in '73, I went to work making things to sell in my parents' backyard. I've often wondered, where would I be now if I had found a blacksmith to study with? So I started out making lots of mistakes and making lots of scrap metal and getting together with friends that didn't know any more than I did. And, it was a really slow process. I had been doing it a number of years before I took some classes from Peter Ross, who was a real influence. I know a lot of people that worked with other blacksmiths that could teach them. And I didn't have that other than the few classes I took from Peter Ross. The different demonstrations I've seen through the guilds and organizations I've attended, I just looked at Eric Sloan's book and pictures and built a little forge based on that. So I don't know how I could have done it differently. And depending on who I found, who knows what I might have gone differently. So I think it worked out okay. I definitely would have gotten better faster if I'd found somebody to teach me. So that's a good thing to do. My local group is the Guild of Metalsmiths that is in Minneapolis, centered in Minneapolis, so I belong to that. And I've been in Havana since probably '82 or '83. When we moved to Minneapolis, I needed to change health insurance. I looked in the phone book and I thought, well, I'll see what another self-employed person does. And I found a blacksmith in the Minneapolis phone book.
Oh, wow.
And it was Bob Walsh, who was then one of the founders of the Guild of Metalsmiths. And I called him up and says, oh, I don't have health insurance, but we've got a Guild of Metalsmiths meeting on Wednesday night. And I'll pick you up and we'll take you and Kitty and you'll meet everybody. And we've been friends and we've been members of the Guild of Blacksmiths, Guild of Metalsmiths ever since. And through that, I found out about Havana, and then a couple years later joined Havana.
So how did you find out about the BAM conference?
We had a couple phone conversations, and I didn't have anything in writing other than maybe on a little piece of paper that I lost. And I was supposed to demonstrate last year. I said, I'll do it next year. They said, okay. And
so what are you making today and tomorrow for the demos?
Well, Rick Fuhr called me and said, how about if we give you some bloom and you make a hammer to sort of tie the demonstrations together. And I thought that's a great idea. And then in corresponding over the years since we talked, I found out that his bloom is fairly high carbon because he's making bloom for knives and armor and swords. So I used the product from his bloom for the face and the peen of the hammer, and then I used this piece of salvaged wrought iron for the body, which I folded and forge welded up. Scott helped strike for me in the morning, and we got the hammer blank roughed out, and then this afternoon Sam helped strike and we got the face welded on and the peen welded on and then punched the eye. And tomorrow then I'll do the decorative chasing. I did some filing on it to get the shape refined somewhat. I like to do detail work. A lot of what I do, the forging is forming the shape, and then I go back and do filing and chasing and decorative work. So I keep the small items. I don't do hundreds of feet of railing or anything like that.
What is your favorite process?
It'd be hard to pick one favorite because you need to do the forging to get something to do the chasing and decorative work on. And the forging is satisfying, but it is really nice to walk away from the forge and do some cold work then afterwards. but I wouldn't want to do all filing and fitting.
Mhm.
So I like the balance between the two, and I do woodwork also, which is very different.
Yeah.
Blocks intrigue
Blocks.
me because of the mechanical and the mechanical features, and so many of the old ones were decorative also. All
Yeah.
the parts were decorated, and then just the figuring out different ways to make a lock more secure by having things that keep a key or a pick or something that is intruding from getting to the working parts. At home, I use vinegar to take the scale off, which is harder than the iron or steel underneath,
Yeah.
and will ruin files.
Mhm.
But here I use the grinder because I couldn't leave it overnight in the
Of
vinegar.
course, yeah.
So I used the grinder, and
Mhm.
20 minutes of that, I got all the scale off, and then I filed it so
Yeah.
that it was ready to start chasing them off.
The other day with my stream, we were talking about the difference between, there are a lot of blacksmiths around who do want to continue the traditional methods, whereas there's also a lot of blacksmiths who are like, if I've got a tool, if it'll make it easier and faster, let's go.
Well, and you got to make something you can sell, and it depends on what group you've found as an audience.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, is that the difference, choosing your audience for that argument?
Yeah, well, I've had to work to find the audience. So I guess you maybe I like antiques. I enjoy people that collect antiques, and maybe I sort of chose the audience I felt comfortable with. I enjoy it, and I think if a person can find something to support him or herself that is enjoyable, that's really satisfying.
All
I would,
right.
whatever it is, I would suggest you find something that you enjoy and go for it.